Hello again to the constituents of the City of Sydney. I'm Dr. Bruce Long. I'm running as a candidate in the upcoming New South Wales State elections for the City of Sydney. This is another short video address about another petition that I want to put to New South Wales Parliament, to New South Wales Parliament's Legislative Assembly. And this one is about countering the infideliphobic influence of delusional megacults in our parliaments, and obviously starting with New South Wales State Parliament. So I'm seeking 5 signatures from people who are interested in making infideliphobic hate speech in mimetic narratives and doctrines like the ones that belong to Islam and Christianity, which are 2 of the largest megacults in the world and in our nation, make those forms of hate speech illegal. Get our lawmakers to pass laws to prevent them from being propagated. Because in addition to resulting in the persecution of unbelievers, apostates, infidel, and people of other faiths, or other megacults, I should say. In addition to that, and in addition to them just being derogatory and defamatory of people who don't believe, they're conducive to perpetuating the religious schizophrenia pandemic, which is an unfortunately unrecognized but very real pandemic, wherein many people in our society, adults, have imaginary friends whom they think make them powerful, and have comorbid, paranoid and grandiose delusions. Usually the paranoid delusions are about the imaginary friends and what they're going to do and whether they're watching them and you all of the time. But they can be about other weird things like fictional beings like demons. That's only really sick people believe in such things and think they're actually active in their lives and in the lives of others in the universe. And of course there are associated bigotries that go with these kinds of bizarre delusional ideas too. And you have people using them as a basis of judgment and out-group condescension and those kinds of things. So you'll see in my writings in my website, in my campaign website, and in other places in social media, I use the term megacult a lot. That is my term. I'm keen on the odd neologism, that is new English word or new word or new term. And it's a neologism that I like very much. I think it's very appropriate to the application, to what it's referring to. It basically means the same thing as religion, but it places the emphasis on the idea that religions are just really very large cults. And I have made this, I've made the argument that that's the case in a philosophical sense, formally and rigorously a couple of times. And I'm sure I'll do so again in the future. But megacult, essentially, to give you a basic meaning, what I mean when I say a megacult is just a large cult with more than 1 million followers. It's pretty simple. So if you're willing to go with me on this portmanteau term, on this kind of neologistic contraction of other words to make a new word, then it just means you're a descriptive grammarian. Descriptive grammarians are people that think that grammar predominantly comes out of common usage. And of course, if you look around, you'll notice that millennials and Generation Z and Generation Alpha and all of the other generations have been making up words, in popular culture for a long time. And many of these terms and words catch on and they become part of standard English language usage. And I have seen other people use the term megacult. I was the one that first used it. I know this for a fact, because there was nobody else using such a word when I invented it a couple of years ago now, about 18 months ago I think it was. And occasionally other people do repeat it, and I believe that at some point it'll take off more convincingly and more thoroughly. So there's the term megacult. And the other term, of course, you'll hear me and see me use in social media. You'll hear me use in these videos, these video addresses, and see me use in social media is the term infideliphobic. And originally when I coined this neologism, I think I spelt it infidelophobic. And I think I decided that was wrong, but it's kind of splitting hairs. Because again, we're doing descriptive grammar. We're being descriptive grammarians. That is, we're using grammar to describe what's going on in the world around us, and we're expecting language to emerge out of that, instead of being prescriptive grammarians and deciding, from the ivory tower or some room at the top of a university, that, everybody's going to use these words and we're going to dictate it to them. That's a pretty extreme way of explaining it, but that should give you the idea of the difference between descriptive and prescriptive grammar and descriptive and prescriptive grammarians. So I invite you all to be descriptive grammarians with me and to use the term megacult to refer to a religion, because they're really just really large, abusive cults. And there's stacks of evidence historically and in the contemporary social and cultural setting to demonstrate that. I mean, just oodles and oodles and oodles of evidence over and over and over again. So I'm quite happy to call them large cults because that's what they are, and I recommend that you do the same thing. Megacults. And as for infideliphobic, I think that's a word that really needs even more than the term megacults to be coined. Now, of course, I'm partly, making fun of English and making fun of popular culture. But at the same time, I'm serious about these terms. I think they're very appropriate, and they will help us to express what we need to achieve. And when I say we, I guess I'm referring to atheists and unbelievers, those that are not members of any megacult in our culture, in our society. It'll help us to make sense of and to express our objectives and to pursue them, because language can be quite good for that. So going back to the petition that I'm interested in having people support, I just need 5 people to submit to signify their support for the petition, and you can see the details of it if you look in the website, in my campaign website. I just need 5 people to either do a contact form submission saying that they would like to support the petition to make infideliphobic hate speech illegal in New South Wales. That is the hate speech that's intrinsic to and all throughout doctrines like biblical doctrines and the doctrines of the Quran. So they're 2 of the major offenders in terms of infideliphobic megacults. So I just need 5 signatures. So 5 people to use the contact form on the website to say, yes, I want to support Dr. Long's petition to Parliament to have infideliphobic hate speech in megacult doctrines made illegal in New South Wales. And you can also use just an email. You can send me an email directly. And of course, if you vote me into Parliament in March, it won't be a matter of submitting petitions anymore. It'll be a matter of trying to formulate bills to urge our lawmakers to pass laws along the same lines. And I am the person to do that, and I will pursue doing that. Now, for those of you that think this is quite extreme, I understand. I do. I have a very good grasp on how it sounds and how it seems to most people in our culture, because many people are very pro-freedom of religion, and I understand the degree to which that goes with the very important virtue, and I think it is a virtue, of freedom of speech. So I get that it's tricky territory, but I think it's just high time for change. And I'm tired of suffering the kind of nonsense that transpires because we have adults who are essentially delusional and have imaginary friends and comorbid, paranoid and grandiose delusions about things like demons and other fictional beings like gods that make them feel powerful and that they can use the crutch and use to hit other people over the head with, or so they believe, in their narratives and their approach to our culture and society. I'm tired of having these people, affect outcomes in our government on the basis of those narratives. It's just completely ridiculous. It really is. They say they don't do it, but, that they minimise it or they're able to behave as secularists. And I don't believe it. There's evidence that that's not the case. Lots of evidence across what, the behaviour of our lawmakers and the behaviour of existing politicians and MPs sitting in our Australian parliaments at state level and federal level. So, it's just high time. So although I'm aware it's a fairly extreme position, if you, from certain perspectives, at the same time, if you look at the infideliphobic doctrines and mimetic narratives in, religious writ, like that which is part of the Christian megacult and that which is part of the Islamic megacult, that is biblical writ and Quranic writ, then it's really quite extreme. Now people say, oh, there are moderates and so on. Well, okay, there might be moderates, but the fact of the matter is that both of those doctrines, one of the central themes, if not the central theme, is that it's bad not to believe and it's bad to be an unbeliever. And a heck of a lot of really serious bigotry and social abuse, and even worse in different parts of the world, especially when nations end up being de facto theocracies to actual theocracies. I mean, in the US, you've got SCOTUS now rolling back abortion laws. It's just that, that to me is just insane. It's 2023, not 1023, and it's things like that just simply should not be happening in a place like the United States. And the reason we are seeing such bonkers, completely insane outcomes in one of the most technologically advanced and scientifically capable nations in the world is precisely because of infideliphobic megacults and what I have called the religious schizophrenia pandemic. So please consider submitting a contact to my website or sending me an email saying effectively I would like to support the petition to State Parliament to make infideliphobic hate speech, megacult hate speech, illegal to propagate and purvey in our culture and society. Let's, put it in a museum, make it the subject of social science and the philosophy of and history of religion, but don't allow it to be an, active part of our society. Our society and our culture and our policies and politics are very vulnerable to such nonsense, such nefarious nonsense. So we need to get rid of it. It's that simple. Or at least we need to make sure it no longer has the kind of influence it's had to date and the kind of influence that it's, a burgeoning influence that it's having in the United States. We simply can't be in a position of dealing with the kind of problems that come with it in 2023 and beyond. I'm Dr. Bruce Long. Thank you for your patience, and I look forward to seeing you in March.